High on a cliff, overlooking the town of Port Angeles at the north end of the Olympic Peninsula in Washington state, is the Ocean View Cemetery. There you'll find a grave covered with a black granite slab, and on the slab, these words appear. Raymond Carver, May 25th, 1938 to August 2nd, 1988, poet, short story writer, essayist. Now you might notice first that this acclaimed American writer lived to be just 50 years old. And then you might see that one of his poems is engraved in full on his gravestone. And here it is. Gravy. No other word will do, for that's what it was, gravy. Gravy these past 10 years, alive, sober, working, loving, and being loved by a good woman. 11 years ago, he was told he had 6 months to live at the rate he was going, and he was going nowhere but down. So he changed his ways somehow. He quit drinking, and the rest? After that, it was all gravy, every minute of it, up to and including when he was told about, well, some things that were breaking down and building up inside his head. "Don't weep for me," he said to his friends. "I am a lucky man. I've had 10 years longer than I or anyone expected. Pure gravy, and don't forget it." Now, as you might expect, there's a story behind the poem. Raymond Carver grew up around Yakima, Washington, and when he was 19, he married a 16-year-old girl who gave birth to their daughter 6 months later. And by the time he was 20, Carver had 2 children. He supported his family by working various jobs as a janitor, a sawmill laborer, delivery man, and library assistant. And at the very young age of 50, Carver died in Port Angeles of lung cancer. Now, the poem that appears on his tombstone, Gravy, is, obviously a really good one for Thanksgiving. On our Thanksgiving tables, gravy is a sauce made from the juices of cooking meat. At the beginning of the 20th century, though, gravy took on a slang meaning as well. It came to denote easy money, a profit that comes with little effort, like gravy train, originally railroad slang for a short haul that paid well. And from there, it took on the meaning that Raymond Carver intended, gravy as in benefit in excess of what is expected. It's getting more than you imagined you'd receive. More than you think you deserve, really. And for Carver, that was 10 bonus years he never thought he'd see, for by all rights, he should have been dead. 10 years, in his words, alive, sober, working, loving, and being loved. 10 years of pure gravy. And his gratitude for the gift of those years remained undiminished. As we see in his poem, even after the diagnosis of cancer, he believed himself to be a really lucky man. In a sense, gravy is the essence of gratitude. We often don't feel grateful for the things we think we deserve, like a paycheck for a job well done, or a simple courtesy from the guy behind the counter, or a Coke from the vending machine when we put in our money. We think we've got it coming. We're sometimes enraged when we don't get what's coming to us, but we rarely fall to our knees with joy when we do get it. During Monday night school this week, I asked our teenagers to give examples of this type of gratitude. Actually, I asked them to give examples of things they took for granted that they often didn't express gratitude for. And their answers ranged from knowing they'd have dinner on the table every night, to my parents sending me to summer camp, to having the best youth group in the world, although that last one, they might have been pandering. But, they're right, really, and I bet all of us could make our own lists, things we take for granted because we expect them and we think that we are owed. And then I had our teens make the other list, moments they've experienced gratitude because of that something extra, like getting an A on a test they didn't study for, being invited on a surprise trip with their grandparents, going out for a nice dinner with their family at a restaurant, being tapped as color war captain at camp, winning a soccer game when they thought they'd lose to the other team. It's that above and beyond, the extra, the bonus. But what was so interesting, though, about the class was the light bulb moment for so many of our students that took place in real time. As they made their lists of things they took for granted, we started talking about how many people would be beyond grateful to have access to what our kids have in their lives on a daily basis. homemade food on the table, rides to their unlimited and overwhelming after-school activities, time and resources to actually participate in said activities, grandparents in their lives who actually like them, safe and loving spaces like Temple Israel, and so on and so forth. And it became clear to them that what they expect in their lives, the stuff that doesn't normally spark a thank you, actually probably should, especially now, but really always. So in that moment, it felt like we were learning something together, that the degree of gratitude we feel is actually within our control, because it's about what we think we deserve, and the difference we observe between what we get and what we think we've got coming to us. So here's another way to put it. Our sense of gratitude is inversely related to our sense of entitlement. The more we see as ours by right, really the less grateful we will feel. So for Jews, the practice of gratitude is not just a rule of etiquette, remembering to say thank you to the waiter when she brings our food or badgering our teenagers to write thank you notes. For Jews, gratitude is a mitzvah. It's a sacred obligation and a spiritual discipline. And when you think about it, it's really right there in our name. The word Jews is the English rendering of Yehudim, which can be translated as grateful ones or people who give thanks. We Jews, we Yehudim, derive our name from Judah, Yehudah, whose mother, Leah, named him in a moment of ecstatic joy when she gave birth to a son she never hoped or expected to have. Rashi teaches that only after Leah gave birth to this particular son, her fourth son, did she offer thanks to God, because she felt she had received more than her share. Jacob had 4 wives, reasoned Leah, and she knew they were destined to produce 12 sons, the 12 tribes. So each wife, do the math, would probably give birth to 3 sons. And that's what Leah thought she had coming to her. So she didn't say thank you for the first 3. The arrival of that unexpected extra child stirred her to the depths of her gratitude, and she gave her son this name, Yehudah, that means thank you. And we, the Yehudim, are a people whose religion teaches us to recognize the good, to overcome a world-weary sense of entitlement, the idea that we've got some sort of claim on the benefits of life. We are Yehudim, says one of our sages, because we always thank God for giving us more than our share, more than we deserve, because we are ever conscious of the fact that every single moment, every single thing in our lives is an undeserved gift. In a sense, Judaism is less about every individual's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and more about the experience of receiving life in gratitude, so that we never take it for granted. And that's why one of our central rituals is not to look in the mirror every morning when we wake up and say to ourselves, I am a good person and I deserve the best, but something quite different. We awaken from sleep, and we open our eyes and we say, Modeh ani lefanecha. Thank you, God, for returning our consciousness to us and giving us this day to live. As the great Jewish philosopher Emil Fackenheim put it, a Jew awakens and is astonished and grateful. He is both, because sleep has not been death. Creation is renewed for us every single day. Jewish practice is at its heart a continual effort to direct and redirect our consciousness to perceive the goodness that is right in front of us all the time, to focus on it and lift it up for praise. So we say, Modim anachnu lach, we thank you all day long. Modim anachnu lach for a hot cup of coffee in the morning, or a juicy apple, or the way the sun shines on the bright leaves right after rain on a cold November morning. It is not a sign of low self-esteem to acknowledge that we have done absolutely nothing to earn the astounding gifts that we receive every day. It's an expression of wonder that anything is here at all, that we have been invited to live for reasons we can never fathom, and to know that everything heaped upon our plates is gravy, just pure gravy, every minute of it. The Torah, which doesn't know from gravy, puts it this way, Kosi revaya, my cup runneth over, my cup overflows. So we ask ourselves on this Shabbat of Thanksgiving, how much gravy we taste on a regular basis, and how great is our capacity to really look around and see and recognize what is good. And tonight, after 6 horrific weeks, to see the first round of our brothers and sisters, our children, our grandparents returned home to their families. Well, thank God. Thank God to have this moment of joy, of gratitude, of gravy in the middle of this war. And may it be the first of many, many more moments just like this to come, and soon. I want to end tonight with the words of a second poem by Raymond Carver that is also carved into his tombstone. It's a really big tombstone. But this poem is a short one. It's addressed, I think, to himself, to a man killed by cancer at age 50, who somehow, even so, found the strength to be grateful. It's called Late Fragment. And did you get what you wanted from this life? Even so, I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth. These words are a prayer. They're a blessing. May each of us get what we want from this life and be filled with gratitude, with gravy, this Thanksgiving weekend, both physically and metaphorically, for each and every gift and each and every moment we are gifted. Shabbat Shalom.